So here we are, we're out in the wilds today. You might hear a few bees twittering. Bees don't twitter.
Bees twitter.
Birds twittering in the background. We've just come out a bit mobile, literally mobile phone and a mic, and we're just going to have a natter on our walk because we've decided we have some of our best material as we're walking, trying to reproduce that when you get back home.
Yeah.
It doesn't tend to work,
we can
does
never
it?
remember what we've been talking about
I know,
either.
it's crazy, isn't it? Must be our age.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here we are, beautiful morning here in South Shropshire.
Blue skies.
Blue skies, yeah, not a cloud in the sky. This is summer. This is what we work for all year, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is what we love. So this is us. This is Darren.
And Cara.
And we are Darren Musgrove Photography. You might have heard some of our previous podcasts we did a couple of years ago now, I suppose. We started during the COVID lockdown period because we, like everybody else, trying to find something to do, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we turned our we didn't turn any hards at all. We turned our hands to doing a little bit of a podcast just to get some information and some content out that we felt relevant to what we do.
Yeah.
So we've decided to house these little chats onto our little YouTube channel, and it's content there, you know, and as you'll probably hear if you listen to any of the podcasts that go up, it's our opinions over anything else, and they don't mean anything at the end of the day, but you might enjoy what you hear, you might not.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, back to today. I had I didn't have an episode. I'm not that old. There was an occasion.
You always have episodes.
I'm getting to the stage where I'm scrolling through Facebook quite regularly, just literally to read things because I like absorbing information. And I joined a lot of these photography pages over the last couple of years because I felt that's what you were supposed to have to do. But one by one, I've kind of decided I'm leaving the group because I don't like what they represent. Now, I know the admins, when they make these groups, your intentions are wholesome and they're good, aren't they? But as people get on board and more opinions take place and feuding and spat start. Sorry, I'm choking on my chewing gum.
Shouldn't have chewing gum.
There's this hill going up as well.
Yeah, got a bit of a hill. It's not panting in a way.
Little spats take place, don't they? And the true colour of people comes through, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So things got on most of these, and people that are listening, if there's anybody listening, hello mum. You've probably been on them and read them as well. It just gets horrible and personal, doesn't it? So what started out as a great idea of a page to bring photographers together, particularly wedding photographers, if you like, from our point of view.
Yeah.
It turns this into an unfriendly and somewhere you're made to feel unwelcome, particularly if you're not part of a certain group of some other kind. We shall not mention any names.
No.
So one by one, I've kind of closed the door on them. I don't want to be reading that because I also believe I don't want any stress in my life. I'm one for those. I'm sort of moving away from anything that brings extra stress and any negativity into my life. So I'm kind of leaving them one by one. Get my breath back. You can take over for a minute.
And say what? No, it causes division, doesn't it, very often amongst these groups, or within these groups even.
Groups, yeah.
Yeah, people thinking they have a valid answer, and it may well be valid, but again, it is just an opinion.
Absolutely, that's the whole point. And as we've discussed previously, opinions are literally opinions. They don't count for anything.
No.
They're your opinions, and they work for you in the way that you work and run your business, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, one popped up on my on my feed the other day. I was scrolling, I was reading some ads and that.
One of the last ones because you got rid of most of them.
Yeah, because exactly. I don't know how Facebook's and their algorithms work. You tend to see content from some pages quite often. Others you don't see. You see one in the blue moon, don't you? And that's kind of seems to be how it's been. But this one popped up, and I can remember the name, but that shall remain anonymous.
Yes, best not to mention it.
And it was a typical scenario where somebody fresh out of university. Now, I've got no problem with that.
No.
Someone spent 2, 3, 4 years gathering their degree. Is qualified. Is quite good at taking photos. Still a youngster, by our terms.
Everybody's a youngster by our terms.
Just got to step to the side because we're about to get run over by a lorry. Rattle, rattle, rattle. People off on their way to work. Fresh out of university. Posting on, and this isn't unique, I've seen this quite often over the last few years. And the reaction's always been the same, hence why I left this group. But they came on and they are basically giving their story. I've done university, I've just come out. I've got a few weddings. I've done a few weddings. I've got a few more booked this year. But basically it's not enough. Seeking to go with a proper, I'll say professional photographer, because that's what we're supposed to be, aren't we?
Yeah.
Go with a professional, as a second shooter.
To build a portfolio.
That's basically it, yeah, to build their own portfolio. I was going to say to be an assistant in that, but the idea isn't to be an assistant, it's to go as a second shooter.
Content, yeah.
Absolutely, you've got it, just to get all that they can for themselves on the back of somebody else's wedding, so piggybacking on the wedding. Now, I've seen people respond to that both ways, you know, negatively and positively, and I don't really care about what anybody else thinks or says, but my own opinion on that is that if you want that extra guidance and training, it's a paying subject.
Yeah.
A professional photographer going to a wedding is a professional. They're there for not for themselves, but you know, it's their business that they're operating on that day, aren't
and
they?
And their clients that they've worked hard to get.
Well, all that goes into it, doesn't it? But there's not even an offer from people wanting to do weddings to get portfolio building images. There's not even an offer of a payment. No. To my mind, if somebody wants me to come piggyback on the wedding that we're doing, just so they can get some photos for portfolio and to have a bit of guidance as well, because that's usually what they're after too, it'd be a case of, well, that is training. I've got to be responsible for you on that day, haven't I? Yeah,
insurances and things coming.
Well, especially insurances. Is this individual going to be insured? Are people insured? Public liability, etc., etc. Because you can bet if a situation arose where somebody said, yeah, come along, you can come with me to this wedding, they're a great couple, they won't mind, day's going well, then there's an incident, the second shooter, the one coming on just to get some portfolio photos, breaks something or a bit of their equipment, your bag's left over, and you know, grandma trips over it.
Inexperience, of course, as well, because they're inexperienced, they don't, you know, they're more likely to have an incident happen.
That's the reality of it, isn't it? So you can be sure that the main photographer, they wouldn't be standing up for the second shooter. They'd be saying, well, you should have brought your own insurance, you should have been insured, you know. Hopefully that sort of thing would be checked beforehand, but you can see the scenario, can't you? So I just think somebody that just wants to get portfolio building images, it's not just as simple a thing as, can I come along and piggyback on your wedding? It's unfair, isn't it? Because then how much control are you going to then expect to have over the day? Because you have got your own idea of how things should work, haven't you? Yeah. You want things to go a certain way. You want to take certain photos, you know. You might have a completely different idea. Because don't forget, this person's just done their degree. So they've been taught or trained to a certain standard, I suppose, haven't they?
But not specifically. That's why they want to come along on a wedding.
Exactly.
They want to see how a wedding rolls.
Not just rolls. Don't forget, they want portfolio stuff. So they want stuff that reflects them and the work they're going to do.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's not your true portfolio, is it? Yeah. So I just think it's a little bit of a cheap shot for people just to sort of put their hand up and say, please, sir, can I come to a wedding with you so I can take some photos? Because it's not as simple and as straight and as clear cut as that, is it really?
No, it isn't.
So the post kind of, as I say, was positive and negative, but because it got a little bit whingy with others getting in on the same thing, it just made me feel, well, this group that was supposed to have, as it started, it's evolved into something that's away from what it was supposed to. In its infancy, yes. Okay, then, if it would be official. But it sort of evolved away from that, and it's just another page of wedding photographers that are there to whinge. Now, anybody listening to that who's in Facebook groups will obviously say, well, it's not me, well, it's not me. The majority, it's not. But there is a contingent, isn't there, that they all form, if you like, an unofficial allegiance, because they all want the same thing, which is a shortcut to being a professional wedding photographer. Now, this individual, as I was reading the comments and the replies, it was kind of along the lines of, I've done my degree, now I should be earning 30 grand. I want to be there earning that sort of money by the end of next year. Yeah. Rather than actually stepping back and saying, I've done my degree, now I have to build my own business. That could take 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a long process building a wedding. That's why...
It's not an instant fix.
Of course it's not an instant fix. It's a business you have to build from the ground up.
Just because you've got a a degree. Doesn't mean you can step in and be earning X amount a year. You've got to get there. It's a journey, as we've wedding photographer's journey.
Yeah, absolutely, it is a journey. But with all due respect, I understand, and I totally again respect that people have worked hard, got their degree, and are qualified. How many wedding photographers, or photographers per se, are not university qualified?
Majority, I'd have thought.
Exactly. It's all very well spouting off, oh, I'm photographically trained and I have a degree. Yeah, bully for you, well done. It's not a necessity.
No.
Is it?
No, of course not, no.
So, as I say, it was just the last one I came across and I decided, well, actually, I've just had enough of reading this tat. If you can't run your own business, have your own ideas, develop your own creativity, find your own way of actually succeeding in any industry, and the wedding sector is no different, it's just something you've got to try to build and survive in, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can't be bothered to do that, then there's no point in you actually just trying to build a business in the industry, if you want.
That sort of is also on the back of what we were talking about with other certain groups that sell their, if you like, their way of doing things. Well, again, not naming any names, because that leads into that, doesn't it? That a wedding photographer, joins a particular group to get certain
benefits.
Yeah, benefits. Yeah, a good one. And so again, they're not in those benefits. It's teaching them, in inverted commas, how to be a photographer in a specific way, with a certain way of editing your photos, getting what are they called? I can't remember. Presets, yes, presets. They'll buy presets and use those because they are in favour, they are trendy, they are current.
But without running away with all of that too soon, that's just another photographer that's worked really hard to be where they are, that's actually decided, it's a spin-off business, isn't it?
Yeah.
To run your own group, if you like, to try to attract the better photographers to, again, group together.
Yeah, I can see why they would want to pass on their knowledge and experience in that way, I suppose. But what I'm saying is, someone jumping on the back of somebody else's wedding and the hard work they've put in to have that wedding, advertising, years of work that goes before that. It's a similar. It just reminded me of that. That someone's going on to these groups to learn how to do wedding photography. They're not being individuals, I suppose.
Well, of course they're not, no, and you're right, because people that do join these groups, I'm guilty to a certain extent. I followed these groups. I had a look, how they worked, and I refrained from actually joining and parting with money to be a member of these group/organisations, because I'm just like, as you just said, I kind of realised quickly, well, they're all of a certain ilk, or you have to pretend you're of a certain ilk.
Yeah.
If you're not of that ilk, you can join, but we'll take your money, but you're not really part of us, really. And I don't care what anybody says. You can hide behind I'm the greatest photographer person, human being, and I care for everybody around me. You can hide behind all that, but that's not the truth when it comes to it.
You can say what you like, it's your actions.
Yeah, it's the proof that's there.
Yeah.
And also, as you just said, you're trained to do things in a certain way, their way, because this is what's worked for them. Because they've worked, they've built a business, they've got something that works, but you have to understand that that's unique to them.
Of course.
The people that are buying into those sort of groups and memberships to actually be educated, that's fair enough. I understand education, but when everybody in that organisation or group, all the members are now using the same preset because they've been trained how to use this preset, all their work kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
It really does. So, to my mind, it almost looks like it's become a bit of a franchise. You've joined an organisation, you've taken on board their training, their products, their presets, their advice. Everyone that's a member is doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is what pains me, I suppose, in all of this, is that photography, particularly wedding photography, has lost its individual aspect.
Yeah.
Everybody has got following everybody else. All the trend, orange and desaturated greens. Absolutely. What is that all about?
Yeah.
What is it all about? I'd be gutted as a couple
Well, we get so many beautiful weddings with all the colour schemes
Absolutely.
and the flowers and the
Colours of the
amazing
ties
environments
and all
and
those sort of
locations.
things. And then you're taking away all the colour. Well, you're changing the colour. That's just the basic, and I don't understand that. You know, I'm willing to sort of hold my hands up and say, well, if people are coming to you because they love your work and that's how they've seen it, that's fine. You know, I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. That's down to you. But what I'm saying is, it's become a trend. Everyone's following a trend.
People like trends, don't it? It's easy. It's a no-brainer. Oh, that's what's current. That's what I got to have.
Well, that's it. That's
Lazy
what you've
even.
hit the nail on the head there. It's a no-brainer because it's a shortcut. So a lot of these younger wedding photographers there's always going to be youngsters coming into the scene, and that's great because it replaces those that are, you know, dipping off at the other end.
Yeah.
But it's something that's noticeable is that the newer generation wants an instant fix. They want an instant
Solution.
They want to be instantly the finished product, don't they?
Yeah.
And their business to be the finished product.
Just sort of drop in there. Here I am. I've arrived.
So fresh out of university or fresh with a new camera. By the end of the first year, I want to have $30,000 worth of work
They
the
probably
following
sniff
year.
at 30,000 now, quite honestly. But yeah.
Well, yeah, that's another story. So it's just something that crossed our mind, isn't it? And I had a conversation. I said, look, this is, it's not worrying. Everyone can do what they want. But I just see that piggybacking on somebody else for your own purposes is not the way to go. You just need to do your own groundwork.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing better than having your own experience to gain experience, is there?
And quite honestly, these people, if they've been to university, surely they know there's a process. They've been through 3-4 years, like you say, uni. But they know that wasn't a shortcut, was it?
Yeah, well, that's quite right.
So why do they think suddenly...
Well, I suppose, and again, not being, it's a bit of a gradient, isn't it, to walk up? Yeah. They've been to university and done the 3 or 4 year degree, but let's be honest. They've been mollycoddled for 3 or 4 years, haven't they?
And parted, probably.
Well, put that aside. On the education side, they've been mollycoddled. They're in a controlled environment, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're able to ask instant questions for instant answers. I'd imagine they'd have been surrounded by or tutored by, you know, an industry-capable individual.
Yeah, true. So they want that to continue into their actual real work.
Well, absolutely.
Which is what we've then got to do, real work.
So going back, so you're piggybacking on somebody's wedding as
the top now.
Not even a second shooter, you're just piggybacking to get your portfolio stuff.
Yeah.
So sun goes down or is going down, beautiful sunset, lovely venue, you know, idyllic looking countryside. Couple of partying. The main photographer has kind of given it the old, well, this is where it's all happening. This is where the action is. This is the main event. You know, inside the venue with everybody on the dance floor, enjoying it.
Hands in the air.
So the youngster piggybacking fresh out of uni that's done everything in a controlled environment type thing is now saying, oh, hang on, we need to get them outside because I need the sunset hero shot.
Yeah. Because it's controlled environments they're used to.
Yeah. I mean, I don't agree with that anyway. You know,
well, no, we don't.
As far as I'm concerned, you're an event photographer. If you're a wedding photographer, you're shooting in a journalistic way, grabbing people to take them outside because there's a sunset, unless pre-agreed or it's been a request by the couple. You shouldn't be doing it. You know, that's not the reality of the day.
No.
Go outside and take a picture of the sunset, but you haven't got to drag the couple up to a certain spot.
Squirrel.
So they can be part of it. But that's my personal opinion anyway, and that works with the way that we shoot and our couples. Because again, that's another thing, isn't it? Well, if you're piggybacking on someone's wedding,
look at a squirrel.
Hello. If you're piggybacking on somebody's wedding just to get portfolio stuff, are they your ideal client that you're shooting?
That's a really good point.
Is the wedding going to be what you want to represent, what you do? Or do you, as a I want to come to a wedding and get portfolio stuff, are you now cherry picking who you approach for that?
Oh, very likely.
Well, if that's the case,
wedding is it?
If that's the case,
that's the sort of
bloody offer a payment. Say to the photographer, look, I'd love to come. This is the sort of wedding I want to be doing. Looks like a great venue. This is what I want to be advertising. Can I give you £200 just to be part of the day as another photographer? I don't have to get in your way, blah, 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 all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
even then that'd pay me if I was the photographer and I suddenly was going through the photos and
There they were.
little Jenny and Jim were in the background with their cameras.
I do it quite a bit with you, but you can shout at me.
Well, yeah, at least we've got that sort of...
The couple I can see you staring at me and frowning.
I'll give you the old...
And likewise. Vice versa.
Absolutely. Mind you, with the beauties of Photoshop these days, you can quite easily get rid of each other if you have to.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it's just that process of building your own business is far more important than just taking photos for portfolio. If you haven't got a portfolio, you advertise yourself as a new wedding photographer and you make your prices. Reflect that. To build up work. Now, I'm like many, I didn't have any formal training. I've done all my own training, and learning is self-based, isn't it?
Many hours.
Many hours, many years. Now, I've had previous experience in photography in another field, but with that again, that was a stepping stone to be where I am today.
Yeah.
You can't just jump in with no wellies and jump straight in, can you? And think you're going to stay dry.
Yeah.
You've really got to start from the bottom.
That's right.
And I think that is the thing that's missing generally nowadays, that they don't want to start at the bottom, want to start midway or above that. And it can take years just to get to midway, can't it, in your business?
Yeah.
Again, this is just my opinion as I'm speaking. It is difficult. I know in this day and age there are far too many photographers that offer weddings, but we all do it at varying levels. The important thing is you have to develop your own way of doing things, develop your own set of ideal clients. I've done weddings and they weren't my ideal clients, but it was an early wedding, so I had to do something, because it's a springboard then, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, your name gets used locally. We've had lots of recommendations on the back of earlier weddings, but of course we don't work to those levels anymore. That's the whole point, isn't it? We've moved on and our prices have moved on.
It's a constant moving
exactly.
on, isn't
So
it?
people do come to us thinking, oh, you did so-and-so's wedding 5 years ago, you didn't charge anything, they recommended you. It's like, well,
we want you for £500.
The standard of work was not what it is today. But that is hard work, and it's your own due diligence, isn't it? You're putting effort and time in, you're doing your own research, or
that progression,
you're practicing away from weddings.
Yeah.
You have to literally nurture and invest and just work at your own business. If somebody said to me, if you could go back and piggyback on someone's wedding for experience, would you do it? Now, I have thought about that, and I've hand on heart, I've thought, no. I personally don't work like that. If I'm going to do something, I have to do it myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, your situation's different because you've worked closely with me over the years.
I worked closely with you before I took up a camera. So
exactly.
It was very different.
Exactly.
Scenario.
So you kind of learned, if you like, the ropes and the way we do things, or I do things, and the way of shooting, which is quite straightforward and easy. But that's only because
I don't touch the editing. That's all you. And that's the skills that come into that. I just can't even begin to get my head around.
Well, again, that's something that you learn to do, and the more you do it, it's second nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you couldn't do it because you've not learned.
No, exactly.
If you did do it, you wouldn't be able to do what I do because it wouldn't be personal.
No, exactly.
To you.
And it would change our look to a certain extent. I mean, I have some input, don't I? But at the end of the day, it's your vision.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the whole point in this. It's your individual way of doing things.
Yeah.
Which is another good point when you think about people that literally join these membership groups and organisations and be educated by them and buy their presets, because that's what they're all using, and everyone looks fantastic. When it comes to you, if you slap that preset on your work, on your raw file in Lightroom, for argument's sake, you might be really disappointed because it looks nothing like what you're seeing on screen.
Yeah.
But that's because each individual uses the preset and uses their camera with their settings in all different ways.
And surely because they know what preset they're going to use, they will shoot the wedding a certain way.
Absolutely,
set their cameras up to...
Because they've got a completely different vision
to reflect that.
to what you've got in your mind. The preset is to my mind, it's a base, and then you tweak it the way you want it to look and work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, your look evolves anyway. It's not like an instant fix, is it?
No.
let's be honest here. Presets, it's a business. People make presets, they sell them, instant fix to people. They get them. Bloody hell,
and it isn't an instant fix. Like
anything,
there's no shortcuts.
Of course, it's not.
You've got to do your work.
Absolutely, you've got to make it suit the way you want your work to look and feel.
And that takes time.
Exactly. There's no shortcut. I mean, we had a youngster approach us a while back, literally that thing, like, can I come to your wedding? And I politely had to say, well, I appreciate your keenness and you want to, make way in doing things, but I can't really pass anything on to you that would make any sense, I suppose, at this stage. You need to do your own groundwork, And they weren't university educated; they were literally just coming out of college, BTEC with a BTEC in photography, and youngster thinking they're going to make a business up and running by the time they're 20, if you like. Yeah. But I try to explain it. It's a long process. It is a long process. Mm-hmm. That's why you
have to be tenacious.
Well, if you look
and you're a tenacious bugger.
Oh yeah,
you are.
They call me Tenacious D, don't they? They don't actually. There'll be lots of other things. You have to start from the bottom. You can't be. Oh no, I said that point.
Yeah, you said that point. You're going back. Look, rewind.
Let's walk backwards. So it's no coincidence that a lot of the better photographers, the more experienced photographers, the more respected photographers are of an older age.
Yeah.
I'm talking 40s, 50s, into their 60s. Because they've done the groundwork, they've done the effort, they've made their mistakes, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've found what works for them and they've developed that, and it's evolved over the years. And when they get to sort of 50, 60, our sort of age now, although I haven't been doing it for long as some of these people have, you are better, you are more confident, aren't you? More competent.
Yeah.
You understand post-process.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. You understand people that you have to work with, because photography is a people job.
It is.
Wedding photography is just ridiculously a people job. Those sort of things you can't pick up overnight.
No.
And piggybacking on someone's wedding to do portfolio type shots isn't going to get you anywhere, really. It really isn't.
It's not, no.
What you need to do is find somebody's wedding that wants it done for cheap. If you want portfolio, do it for free. You'll be working for yourself then.
Or at least just for cost of getting there.
Oh, yeah. You get a little bit of cost. When I say free, it's more a case of you're not earning a photography wage out of it.
No.
You might do it, you might trade something, you might trade time for something, I don't know. But yeah, you get something out of it your way anyway, because you're getting the pictures for portfolio, aren't you?
Yeah.
So there are ways forward without actually jumping on piggybacking on someone's wedding. And as I say, that was the last group I think I'm in. They didn't serve the purpose for me. I don't even like the idea of having a second shooter or being a second shooter personally, because of what we've just discussed.
Yeah.
I work differently. You work differently.
Yeah. We work well together. But that again, because I know you and I worked with you a long time.
We've been together for 30 odd years. So I mean, that's why it works, isn't it? And your way of shooting represents the type of person you are, which we are very similar people.
Yeah.
And we just like to just get in, we'll do a job. We don't really make a fuss out of anything. We don't put anything on a bloody stage, do we?
No.
We literally our couples know how we work. It's literally, we're turning up. You have a great day. We'll be taking photos of it.
Yeah.
You have very little responsibility towards us, if any.
If any.
And that's how it works. So you have to find your own way of working.
And again, if you want to work differently, you'll know how you want to work. You know what you want to get out of your photos, what your vision is, and you have to work towards that.
Absolutely.
There is no shortcut to get into that end result.
I had a good analogy, didn't I, earlier?
About forks. Knives and forks.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So think of it like this, right? Everyone knows how to use a photographer, in inverted commas, that work in the wedding industry, generally knows how to use a camera for that job, don't they?
You should hope so.
But everybody does it differently. Think about everybody eating with a knife and fork. Everybody knows how to use a knife and a fork. Well, in general, I'm talking... Yeah, well, except for our son, yeah.
He just uses a fork.
Yeah, he has done since he was a kid. But generally, everyone knows how. But if next time you're out, we're eating at home around the table, do people do that anymore?
I don't know, probably not.
I do, we do, don't we? Anyway, you can sit around a table if you're out in a restaurant and people are eating with knives. Everyone's doing the same thing. They're eating with a knife and a fork. But watch closely.
Not in a creepy way.
Well, no, just like the corner of your eye. I'm not saying go up and stare at their hands as they're eating their blooming spaghetti bolognese. Crikey, that would be weird, wouldn't it? You'd be kicked out. Everyone holds them slightly differently. They move them differently. They just use them differently, don't they?
Yeah, of course.
And it's the same with using a camera. Everyone,
it's a tool.
Everyone looks like
a tool.
yeah, exactly. They're doing the same thing, but everyone works that slightly differently.
Yeah.
And that's the whole
Little
point.
nuances.
We're all individuals. We all have our slight brain nuances again. You know, slightly different ways of thinking, don't we?
Yeah.
Different ideas to get to a different result. So it's just, yeah, we are all different, and that's literally something that's got to be respected. But I'll round this off now because I've got another hill approaching.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was an opportunity for us to just have a natter, because we do natter better when we're walking, don't we?
We do.
Rather than sitting around a table with a mic and a drink where we go a little bit dry and confused.
We're always saying we should take our mics with us. And so we did.
So I'll probably do this
exactly
more
what we
often
did.
now. Just wonder how it's going to sound on the old
Probably sound crap.
on the old computer when I try and upload it. Anyway, this is Darren and Cara. We are Darren Musgrave Photography. This podcast we kind of named the Wedding Photographer's Journey because it is just about a journey we're all on, and it's our personal journey. You might get something out of this, you might not. You might agree with something, you might not. Leave your comments below. Like and subscribe, and every time we pop a new episode up with a bit of natter, you can have a listen.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
Listen, hang on.
Let us know. Oh, out in the wilds. And here is Cara going through the undergrowth. Don't you fall in that water. And we're going to carry on with our walk, and we'll catch you next time.
We will.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, stump myself.
Ow.